Welcome back to the Friday Main Event Class 5A Region Preview Show. This is part 2 and a 3-part series of videos we'll be bringing you in Class 5A. In our first video, we covered Regions 1 through 4. This video, Lee Teat, we'll be covering Regions 5 through 8. Again, I'm Mike Molder, and he is Lee Teat, and we are the Friday Main Event, the best low-budget football coverage you'll have in the state of Tennessee.
By far.
We're sitting here in a dining room with the headsets on and their $10 sign in the background, but buddy, we're putting out the information, aren't we?
That's right. Having a ball doing it.
Having a ball doing it. So we hope you guys are enjoying the video. Again, we do this as a labor of love, and we love talking high school football, and we love getting exposure for high school football coaches, players, and programs, and we hope you guys enjoy us bringing it to you. Lee, we're going to get things started in Region 5. We've got 7 teams we go from 7 teams down to 6 teams. White County, and you were asking me before we started recording, White County is playing an independent schedule. They're not going to be in region this year. So
I don't understand how you do that.
Well,
how do you decide, I don't want to be in that region?
Yeah, I don't know how that works. I don't know how you withdraw from a region, but I was looking at Donovan Stewart, his information on his region breakdowns, and I didn't see White County. So I thought that was odd. I hadn't heard anything about it. Got to looking at their schedule, Lee, and there was no one region that they had scheduled every team in it. I thought maybe they'd drop down, but yeah, they've got teams from 5 or 6 different regions scheduled, and they're not apparently not affiliated to it, which obviously means they're not going to be qualified for postseason play.
Right.
But yeah, so that's how we got from 7 to 6 in Region 5. And Lee, you look at Region 5, one of those very balanced regions last year. Page did win the region by an average of 18 points, but that's kind of inflated numbers because they had single-digit wins over Franklin County, Lincoln County, and Shelbyville.
Correct.
So it was a very close region, top to bottom. But Charles Rathbone's squad, with 5 starters back on offense, 6 on defense, looked to be pretty solid again this year.
I think so too. Especially with Cade Walker coming back. We saw him live a few times. That kid can really spin it. He's a very high IQ quarterback. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes. I really do like that kid. I think he's one of the better quarterbacks I've seen.
Me too.
But the reason I'm going to take Page at the 1 spot is because Bubba Johnson's coming back.
That's a big one.
That kid can flat out get it. They didn't use him very well last year at Spring Hill. Comes back over to Page. I think Coach Rathbone will stick him right back in, do the same with him. He'll get 1,000 yards plus this year. And I think that's probably, to me, what may put Page over the hump at the 1 spot.
I like it, Lee. And of course, we mentioned this in our 4A rundown. We did not understand the underuse of Bubba Johnson there at Spring Hill last year, and that may have contributed to that record they had, the fact that they didn't. And we mentioned in that video that he's the type of back he needs to see the ball 20 times a game. He gets better the longer he goes. He's a second half rusher. He's going to beat on and wear that defense down, and when it gets in that third quarter, fourth quarter, he's going to wear you out. That's when he gets good. But, yeah, I like that, Lee, and I agree with you. I think they would have to be your preseason favorite to win that, repeat in that region. But, again, I think it's a very tight region. Shelbyville, they actually won by a larger margin of victory. All their games in region play, if you throw out that one loss to Page, they averaged 30 points a win better over region. So, if they can figure out a way to hang with Page, you got to like Shelbyville this year.
Well, that's what I said. I think if Bubba Johnson hadn't transferred back in, I might have been leaning a little bit towards Shelbyville being the 1 seed because of like you said, the margin of victory. The one thing that's the question for me with Shelbyville, I think Cade Cunningham's going to step right in where his brother left off and be fine. Caleb Marsh is an outstanding tailback, no problems there. Gary Smith, the third there, is a preseason All-Stater, maybe one of the best offensive linemen in the state. So I think they're okay there. The thing that worries me is how you replacing Arius Trice and Malachi Burns.
Yeah.
That's two big-time receivers.
And Trammell, the quarterback from last year, remember he broke the state singles game passing yardage a couple of years ago. So,
right.
But I agree with you. I think Cade Cunningham is going to step right in and do a fine job there at quarterback.
Just concerned about who they're going to get the ball to.
Yeah.
Anytime you lose those type receivers, and both of those kids were college builds.
Right.
I'm a little concerned about that, but I think they're going to be okay, Mike.
Yeah, I think so too. Gary Smith, the third, big old lineman, D lineman. They like to use him like they use Fridge Perry.
Oh yeah.
In the short yardage situations. They got in the goal line situation. They stick Big Gary in there and pound a rock. But he's a difference maker. He's a preseason All-State candidate as well. Plays both sides of the ball for the Golden Eagles. And Justin Palmer, another one of those young coaches, Lee, I really like. He does a phenomenal job. He stepped right in and took over that Shelbyville program 3 years ago, 22-12. They actually got out of the first round, got knocked out by Hillsboro last year. But I think Shelbyville has a chance to challenge for this region this year.
I think so, too.
And moving on down, our buddy Brian Coleman over at Summit, Lee, probably the best maintained natural grass field we saw last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I tell you what, Coach Coleman, he's got to do a little bit better job against the top two seeds here.
Yeah.
Both those teams last year, they just pretty much took Summit, bent them over their knee, and spanked them.
Right.
I think he's got to do a little better with those this year, but now he gets into the playoffs and plays Beach to the wire. So it's, that was an interesting turnaround.
Right.
But he has some talent coming back, especially the tailback, George. What do you call him? Demagwu.
You're going to ask me to pronounce a name. You're getting desperate, brother.
Yeah. Anyways, George at the tailback.
I thought it was Odamegwa.
Odamegwu, or
yeah,
I can't remember. He pronounced it last year for us.
Yeah. I think he made fun of us, actually.
Yeah, he did. And then he's got Keaton Wade back there, also as a sophomore tailback, and then Kiston Arnold, a senior defensive end. I like him at the 3 spot right now. Be interested to see what Tim Johnson's got, though. I think Tim Johnson, he might make a little noise at Lincoln County.
He might, Lee. He's got a lot of kids back. He's got 8 starters back on offense, 5 on defense. Of course, they did get knocked out by Hillsboro in the first round. But Rudy Cooper's back at running back. They got Jake Sarles, a returning quarterback, senior. Wes Jenkins, Alec. Help me out with that one, Lee.
Savali.
Okay, sounds good to me. But, yeah, Falcons have got a lot of kids back. Tim Johnson is a really good coach. He was their pick, to come in there and take that spot when Coach Thomas stepped aside. 64-41 overall. He's 5-6 in his first year at Lincoln County. But more importantly, he was 3-3 in region play and got them in the playoffs last year.
That's correct.
So, I think Lincoln County is going to be a contender. I think they'll be probably fighting it out with our buddy Matt McCurry, Franklin County down there. I went and saw them in their spring game, Lee, and I think Coach McCurry's kind of been forced to be more hands-on this year than what he's been in the past. I think he may have lost a couple of staff members, so he was very involved in the play calling when I was down there in the spring, and that's not a bad thing. Coach McCurry's called a lot of football, seen a lot of football. And what I loved about him, man, I was standing back behind him watching the offense run, and, he's full pace, full speed.
Oh, yeah.
He's seeing stuff I don't see. It may be a lineman that just was one step out of position or something like that, and Coach McCurry's going up and correcting that stuff on the fly. But that spring regular season, they got to know this stuff, and I'm a little concerned about that.
Me too, but the reason Coach McCurry sees all that is he's got over 325 games under his belt. He's seen this, knows what he's doing.
Right.
It hurt. Nealon Jeans transferred and hurt a little bit, but I tell you what, he's got a special player in Tosh Taylor, and then he's got Riley Engel, who's a quarterback there as a senior, who actually got some playing time, I think, the year prior to Gene's coming over.
He did. That's correct.
And then he's got Dakota Wagner, who's a huge tailback.
Kid's a load, man. He was hitting Ray County in the mouth the whole time. He's a hard kid to bring down, Lee.
Yep. So
6'3", 225.
So Coach McCurry, I think he or Coach Johnson at Lincoln County, any of those, Summit, Lincoln County, and Franklin County, they could be any of them, 3 or 4.
Well, we mentioned, at the top of this region rundown, Lee, all the games were single digits between Page, Shelbyville, Lincoln County, Franklin County. So, you got to expect more of the same. Now, Page did spank Summit pretty good.
Right.
I think maybe 29 points, but again, the top 5 spots in this region were very close.
Correct.
For the whole year. Columbia, Jason Host, the Lions, they were kind of the doormat last year. The only team they did beat was White County, who's no longer in the region, 1-5. I think it was kind of a rebuilding year for those guys. Coach Hoth had a good year the year prior, lost a lot of talent. He's got 5 back on offense, 7 back on defense. Christian Biggers, running back sophomore, he'll be one of them they'll be watching. David Bailey, the defensive end senior, I think he's one of the guys they're going to look for to help them out on defense this year.
Correct. Interesting game for me for Columbia is at Nolensville.
Yeah, I think so too. That could potentially be a real good matchup. If nothing else, that's going to kind of show them where they're at, I think, far as team skill level, with the Nolensville squad being quite good ball team themselves. One thing about that, unfortunately for this Region 5, they haven't had a lot of success with this region we're going to talk about, and that's Region 6. Region 6 is really, really loaded, I think, again this year. Hillsboro, Beach, Gallatin, they all finished tied for the region title last year, Lee. I think Gallatin fell out of the race because they had a worse overall record,
right.
And then that gave the win to Hillsboro because they beat Beach earlier in the year by, I think, a single point. I don't remember exactly how much. It was a close game at any rate. So Hillsboro was awarded the number 1 seed, and Maurice Fitzgerald, no stranger to success. He won a couple of state titles there at Pearl Cone.
Yep.
Back in the day. He had a good run at Stratford before moving over to Hillsboro. So how do you like the Burros this year?
I like them. I tell you, I don't think they repeat as champs this year, but I do like the fact they got Avant Burris back as an athlete, and then Brian Covington, who's a preseason All-State running back. I think Beach might be the cream of the crop this year, a little bit further along than everyone else in the region.
Right.
But top to bottom, this is probably, in my opinion, one of the best in 5A.
Yeah, they're very solid. I agree.
Coach Fitzgerald, that guy can coach. So I like him maybe at the 2.
That's 2.
Yeah.
I'm kind of with you, Lee. I like Coach Crabtree, in my opinion, maybe the best coach in 5A. If not, he's got to be in the conversation.
Oh, yes.
With top 3 or 4 because he's almost always got his team in at least a semifinal. They've been to state championship games several times. They've won state titles. I think most recently with Jalen Hurd, if I remember correctly.
Correct.
At tailback. So, the guy can coach is what I'm getting at. And he's got 8 starters back on offense, 7 on defense. Got Jayshawn Parks back, running back, 1,600 yards rushing. Lee Teat, 15 TDs. Tayshawn Jefferson, another running back, had 948 yards, 13 TDs. That's a pretty darn good 1-2 punch right there.
It is, but you know what you're going to get when you line up against Coach Crabtree. He's going to line up I formation and smack it right down your throat, and then when you come up, he'll take one and shoot it over the top on you, loosen you back up, start running it on you again. So you have to pick your poison with him. I like the fact that Caden Cuttrell's back. Quarterback's a junior, and then he's also got Buddy Whitley back, who's a senior quarterback. Hayden Sloan's a preseason All-Stater at offensive line. No shortage of talent over there at Beach, and a very well-coached ball club. I definitely see them this year in Region 6. It's probably the odds-on favorite.
Jackson North Side, and, of course, you get possibly a preview of the semifinal again this year as they play Henry County.
Yep.
That, as it turned out, was a preview of the semifinal last year, and it possibly the same thing this year. Lebanon and Station Camp. Lebanon getting much better under your good buddy Chuck Gentry. So tough non-region schedule in addition to this very challenging region schedule. I think Gallatin, Lee may turn some heads. We're big into Brad Watson. We think he's going to do a great job there at Gallatin. He did a good job at Northeast last year, so I like them, and I think Gallatin's going to be solid. What's your thoughts on them?
I think that Green Wave fans have got a lot to look forward to, because I'm going to tell you right now, Coach Watson, that might be one of the best hires that happened in the off season, and I think he's going to take Gallatin back to what Gallatin's standards were for years. I think he gets it. I think he understands what's required over there. I think he's fresh. He's younger. And he definitely, like I said, you see what he did at Northeast.
Right.
Was it? Yeah, Northeast.
Yeah, Northeast.
I like Gallatin, man. I really do.
I saw them schedule Shelbyville this spring, Lee Teat, and I was very impressed with them. I thought they looked great. Run game looked really good. Montez Banks and Isaiah Bruce both getting time at the quarterback spot. Isaiah Briscoe, that is. I thought they looked really good on offense. Defense, they looked outstanding, man. They were really dominating up front on both sides of the ball. That was probably what stuck out to me as much as anything was their domination on the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, that's I think that's kind of Coach Watson's forte is they get after you on defense, man. I mean, they're going to bring it and bring it and bring it, and that's kind of what people expect out of Gallatin. So I outstanding hire for the Green Wave, and I think they'll make waves.
Make waves. I like that. Speaking of making waves, we got the Hilltoppers at 4, Lee. Fourth place finish last year. They got 5 kids back on offense, 4 on defense. They got knocked out by Page in the first round. 3-8 last year. I don't think there's any room for them to move up. What's your thoughts?
No, I don't see any. I think they're going to be about where they were, 4th spot.
Yeah, Philip Morrison, the center, is back to lead that offensive line along with Ethan Murda. Maybe good up front, but like we said, I don't think there's any room to move up into those top 3 spots. Hunter's Lane under new management as well, and they were 0-10 last year, Lee. I don't know that they get any better. Preston Scott, new head coach there. He was assistant at Cane Ridge, so the fact that he was under Eddie Woods
makes them better.
Because I guarantee you he knows how to coach. Being on staff with Eddie Woods,
I think he can relate to the kids over there at Hunter's Lane. Cane Ridge. That's why they got Eddie Woods, to come in. There's a dynamic there.
Yeah,
there's a dynamic at Hunter's Lane. And I think Coach Scott understands that. And trust me, they have talented kids over there.
Right.
Tons of them. He's got to get them out, get them disciplined, and I think Coach Scott will do it.
I don't think he would have took that job. He wouldn't have left Cane Ridge if he didn't see some potential for growth there.
Correct.
Glenn Cliff, also another team with a new coach, Mike Passon, takes over. He was the defensive coordinator last season at Glen Cliff. Tate Thigpen's out. Lee 1-9 last season, 1-4 in region play. Only 3 starters back on offense, 2 on defense. They're very young. If you look at that list of returning key players Donovan Stewart puts out, you see freshman, junior, sophomore, freshman, junior. I don't see any seniors as far as key returners in the documentation for this Glencliff team. So very young, maybe going to take a few on the chin this year, I'm guessing.
I think so.
All right, Lee, that's Region 6. Let's move on to Region 7. Region 7 is top-heavy, is the way I would put it, in my opinion anyway. Henry County dominated, 33-point margin of victory. The only team that played them close was Coach Watson's Northeast team. They beat them 37-13. So Henry County, I think the Patriots are very stout again this year.
They are. They're going to contend to get back to Cookeville. Coach Counts been there 4 years, and he's his dad's a legend over there. So
Pat passed away.
Yeah.
Well, definitely was a legend though.
Right. So Henry County's it's a great place to play football.
Yeah, 6 starters back on offense, 5 on defense, Lee. Jalen Foster, running back, is a preseason All-State along with Joe Travis, another preseason All-State player in that secondary, plays strong safety, Davey Harrod, and Jalen Foster, a couple more kids that were mentioned on that list. I'm hearing from some sources over there they got a Dameron kid coming in as a true freshman, potentially going to get some playing time at quarterback, may even start.
Yeah, I heard he's a stud.
Yeah, so Henry County, and that's a lot of pressure on a kid, though, coming up from 8th grade. He had an outstanding 8th grade season, but that's a lot of pressure on a kid to come into a team that was a state runner-up and potentially leading that offense.
Well,
so.
Especially with that, not only in the region, but look at it, brutal outer region. Haywood, at Beach, Brentwood, Germantown. That'd be pretty tough on a freshman.
Yeah, and not to mention, I mean, he does have Jalen Foster back, as we mentioned, but you're looking at a Henry County team, Lee, that only had 59 rushing yards in the state title last year, 131 total yards offense in that title game. Like I say, you and I wasn't able to attend that game. It's the only one we missed, but if your coach counts, man, that's got a little, puts up a little bit of an alarm that you weren't able to make a better showing in the state title game on the offensive side of the ball.
Well, some of that, like you said, you're dealing with 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids. And, man, when you go out to warm up and then all of a sudden you got a 4-hour rain delay and then they call the game and you got to do it the next day.
That's true. It's a good point.
Could have played into some of that,
That's a good point.
think. So.
And the field, man, it's an artificial field, so I don't think
that probably played into a lot of it, actually. But
yeah, I'd say you're right. That's a good point. Clarksville, Lee Teat finished his second last season. The Wildcats, Isaac Shelby back at his alma mater, running that spread option. 8-3 last year. It's the best season he's had since he's been back there. 4-2 in region play. He's only got 4 back on offense. Led by Jason Eaton, the big offensive lineman. I think he's a number 37 recruit in the state.
Correct.
But defensive side of the ball is what you got to like about the Wildcats.
I think so. They got 9 returning starters. So anytime you got 9 kids coming back on the defensive side of the ball in an 8-3 squad, you
got to like that.
You got to like it.
Right. They got Rossview, Springfield, Stewart's Creek, and then they travel to Rockville to play Coach Rice's new squad over there. That'll be an interesting game. I'd like to. That's a team I'm kind of curious to see how they do anyway, knowing Coach Rice's background, how well he's going to be able to launch that program there at Rockville. So that'll be an interesting game to follow. But I like Clarksville. I think they probably secure that second spot again this year. Moving on down, Lee Teat, Dyer County finished in the 4th position. They finished in 3rd position this year. I think they probably take the 4th position this year. 4 starters back on offense, 5 on defense. What do you think about the Choctaws?
I don't know, buddy. I don't know that they. You think Kenwood might slip in and get the 4th spot?
I'm kind of up in there. Yeah, I could see that. Now, and of course, we're over talking the Northeast team. They were on paper they were the second best team. Lee, of course, they had to forfeit 5 wins. They were 8-2 on the field. They wound up being 3-7. We've got them probably at the 3 seed, I believe, this year. They're under new management. Brandon Clark takes over there as Coach Watson moved to Gallatin. But I like them. I like them as a 3. What do you think about that?
I do too. I think they take the 3 spot. I do. I think they take the 3, and then Kenwood pushes for the 4.
Along with potentially Clarksville Northwest. I only say that because they also have a new head coach that had prior coaching experience in Kentucky. But what I like about them is they got 18 starters returning.
That's right, 99.
They may get in the mix there in that 4, 5, 6 spot. But right now, I think I prefer going with the Henry County 1, Clarksville 2. I like Northeast at 3, and I like Dyer County.
4.
I like Dyer County at 4.
Right.
That's the way I see this region playing out. Of course, you got West Creek, 1-9 last year, 0-6, 8 starters back on both sides of the ball. They just weren't very good. Just to be completely frank about it.
Yeah, where do you move to? Where do you move up to?
Exactly. They have Walter Beatty back and DeAndre Frazier back. But like we said, the Coyotes not really any place to go up. They're 6-24 in the 3 years under Coach Figueroa. Okay, thank you, Lee. I'm glad I got you, buddy.
Man, I tell you what, looking at this right here, that Clarksville area, man, if I'm a college coach, recruiter, Clarksville, I think, gets overlooked quite a bit.
Did we mention that Northwest had a new coach? I don't even know if we mentioned
Neil
that.
Furnish.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. But, yeah, there's a lot of talent there in that Clarksville area.
Tons of talent up there. Tons.
Absolutely. But, I mean, Williamson County's got a lot of talent. Rutherford County's got a lot of talent. You know, you could say that about a lot of course, Knoxville, Memphis. So, Tennessee as a whole, I think the talent level has gotten a lot better in the last 20 years.
I think so, too.
Region 8, Lee Teat, from 8 teams down to 7 teams. Bolton drops down to 4A, as we mentioned in our last video. Kirby won this region last season. I think they averaged 42 points a game, better than their competition. That's a crazy number there. Mm-hmm. Beat Southwind by 25 in the first meeting. Only beat them by 2 in the second meeting. So Southwind kind of closed the gap a little bit in the playoffs. So I think they fell to Kirby 36-34. What do you think about Chester Flowers Cougars team this year?
I think probably more of the same, to be quite honest with you. Draylon Ellis, the quarterback's back, senior, and then they got Corbett Mims, the big-time defensive ends, going to Arkansas State. They did lose Jaden Johnson, he was committed to Louisville. But, man, it's Kirby. They got talent, lots of it.
I misspoke a minute ago, Lee. I said they won by 4. I should have said their offense averaged 42 points a game. Sorry about that. I misread my notes. But the reason why I put that in there, I was just basically saying they had a very high octane offense, and I think they're probably going to be pretty stacked on offense again this year. And I like the system, that pro system that Chester Flowers runs there at Region 8. Ridgeway, Lee Teat, Deron Sutton. I think they contend with Kirby this year. I kind of got them, like we've had in some other shows, 1A and 1B. I think those two teams will be duking it out for that region title. They fell to Henry County. Henry County actually knocked both of these teams out last season. But Ridgeway with 7 starters back on defense, I think they'll be in contention for the region.
I think so, too. One thing that concerns me about Ridgeway is they wrap up the last 3 games of the season are on the road.
Yeah, that's kind of unusual.
6 road games this year, but the last 3 are away.
And the first 3 are away, I believe.
Yeah. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know how that.
So you got 4 home games sandwiched in the middle of the schedule. Yeah, that is a kind of an odd way to schedule it, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if I like the scheduling is in their favor.
Yeah.
But if you can get through 3 wins on the road away at the end of the year, you're tough and ready to go in the playoffs.
That's a good point. One thing about this Ridgeway team, Lee, has very senior-heavy graduation. I looked back at my notes from last year, and every key player listed on Donovan's survey for last year gone. So a lot of these kids are new starters, and that may weigh in on the offensive side. But I think defensively they'll be fine, but it may take them 2 or 3 or 4 games, and unfortunately 3 of them on the road to start the season before that offense starts gelling for the Roadrunners. But I like them to contend for the title. I think Southwind is going to be a good team there in Region 8. Coach Slocum, he does a great job. He's 27-18 in 4 years at Southwind. 6 starters back on both sides of the ball. Steve Guy at running back, Jeffrey Williams at running back. They can't put all these kids at running back, Lee. They got Ramel Webb at running back as well, who transferred in from Raleigh, Egypt. So it'll be have they got enough footballs to spread around there?
Well, it depends on what kind of tailbacks they are. If one of them's a scat back or something, maybe they can get it to him out in the slot. Down
and distance will kind of dictate.
Right. But another interesting schedule here. 7 road games.
Yeah. This Region 8 is pretty crazy as far as the scheduling goes. 7 road games, and I think 2 of those trips are to Mississippi. So, yeah, tough schedule for the Jaguars. Lee Muntsford, the Cougars, Nick Markle, 20-13 in 3 years, 6-5 overall last year they got knocked out by Henry County. Henry County just kicked the snot out of Region 8 by themselves last
They
year
did.
in postseason play. 3 starters back on offense, 7 on defense. Jesse Savage kind of done everything for him. He played in the secondary. He was a wide receiver. He done the kicking for him. He's back. Munsford, maybe a sleeper in region. What's your thoughts?
Well, very possible because of like we talked about the scheduling with Southwind. You know, Brighton and Munford might be able to jump in and take the 3-4 spot because they got 4 road games. So that means they're going to get some at home,
Right.
Which always helps. Any of those 3 right there could be the 3 or the 4 spot. And I'm talking about Southwind, Munford, or Brighton.
Mm-hmm.
Brighton's got a new head coach coming in.
Mike David, right, exactly. He was, I think he was OC the last 4 years there, takes over for Robin Jacobs. They got a lot of kids back, Lee. They got 7 back
Correct.
on offense, 6 on defense. The Cardinals, I think this Cardinal team and this Southwind team, you remember a couple of years ago, man, there were some like 60-point games, shootouts, 1-point games. So I think we're going to see more of that this year. I think those 2 teams probably contend for that 3rd and 4th spot. A lot of history in that rivalry there.
Very possible.
So, again, they got 7 starters back on offense, 6 on defense, and was, as we mentioned, Southwind with 6 back on both sides of the ball. So teams are very familiar with each other, and I think they contend for the 2 road spots, 3 and 4 in the region. Memphis, Overton, and Kingsbury rounds out this region lead. And not a lot of success for either one of those programs. The Wolverines were 2-8. They've got 4 starters back on both sides of the ball, led by Denzel Brandon and C.J. Bridges. And in Kingsbury, the Falcons lead Quentin Jones' team. Do you think they make any movement?
I don't think they got 8 road games, Mike.
Yeah. How can you? That's tough.
I don't get all these.
I don't even know that. Do they have a home field?
Maybe not. What do you consider a home game? You got to share a field with someone else. Maybe.
That's what I'm suspecting.
Somebody let us in on that.
Yeah, because there were so many programs in this region that had hardly any so-called home games. I kind of wondered if that's the case. If they're sharing stadiums, maybe they're using the college stadium on the Friday night,
Possible.
or exactly what's going on with that. Lee and I, we basically just pass on what we know, and we don't know the situation there. But I don't think Region 8 is going to, even though I think they won 3 of the first round games. They may do that again this year.
Possible.
I don't think they're going to go to the semifinals. I don't think they can get through Henry County, but I could see 3 of these teams winning first round games in Henry County, doing the same thing they did last year, and knocking the teams off in the second and third round.
Right.
You like
or
that?
Beach, too.
Well, they won't play. We would play Beach till
Right.
the semifinals.
Semis.
Yeah. So I think probably we're going to see a rematch.
I think
in the
Henry
semis.
County takes it.
Henry
does it
County,
like they did last year.
Yes, sir. I think Henry County and Beach would be my favorites to end up in the semifinals on our Part 2 Class 5A, Region 5 through 8. I like those 2 teams to make it to the semifinals. All right, Mr. Teat, we're going to go ahead and conclude this video. This is the second video in our series of 3 for Class 5A. He is Lee Teat. I am Mike Molder, and we are the Friday Main Event. We are sponsored by CoachT.com, and you can catch us every Friday from 4:30 to 6:30. You never know where we'll be at. You can check our website, FridayMainEvent.com. You can go to Facebook, Friday Main Event on Facebook. And on Twitter, we're at Tennessee Sports. So if you want to find out if we're coming to your stadium, there's a good possibility of that because we travel everywhere.
We got invited to Georgia this week.
We sure did.
Actually,
yeah,
unbelievable.
Coach Wagner, who coached at Trousdale County last year, is wanting us to come down to Georgia and watch a game. So, heck, we may wind up doing that. Who knows? But we have a good time, man. We travel around, and we hope you guys will make us your pregame destination for. Of course, Lee, we'll have coaches on every week.
Yep.
We have coaches on the first hour of the show, second hour of the show. We cover all the big games and we discuss them, break them down. So again, make us your pregame destination, 4:30 to 6:30 each week. And thanks again to CoachT.com. Mike and Lee Friday main event. We'll see you guys in the next video.